All right, YouTube, how you doing? We are back for part two of the saga of doing the suspension, rear, drive shaft, all of it. I'll call it Operation Nines, but it's more like Operation Drive Shaft Destruction. But yeah, so down on my makeshift workbench here, I have a DSS carbon fiber drive shaft. You can see it does look a little bit different than the stocker because it's a one-piece, much lighter, much more easily handled, can lift it up very easily. This end looks a lot different because you have this big rubber puck. There's a rubber puck in the middle, and then there's a rubber puck at the end here. Now, you got to realize with this, though, the big difference is they want a very positive connection, keep it from breaking, but this shaft is now shorter, and this makes up the difference at the transmission side. This makes up the difference at the rear end side. I'm going to be putting this one on first. And hopefully today, the goal is to actually get the rear that I built a few episodes ago, quite a few episodes ago, link in the description, into the car, ready to go. Because if that breaks, I'll feel bad, but I'll still have my stocker as a backup. So let's get this piece off down here. Let's get it over onto the bench, get it onto the other part so we can kind of get things tightened up and ready to go. And let's get rocking and rolling, all right? Stay tuned. All right, one thing I did want to bring up when we're pulling this apart, you can see that DSS marked this so that everything stays in line, and this is due to the fact that they've balanced this thing very specifically with these pieces on there. So you can see it here, and I actually went over with a permanent marker to make it a little bit more obvious because of sitting, it starts to wear off in the box or whatever, so you can even see in some spots where it is. Whoop! I got the hot rods out again today. My son and wife, the older son and wife are playing some catch right now. So it turned into a beautiful day. It was a little chilly, but now it's really, puppy on patrol. All right, let's get going. Okay, so we got the rear on the bench here. I apologize, it's a little bit anarchy outside right now, but you can see this is the adapter that goes on the drive shaft, and you can see it has the marking on it there. What I'm going to end up doing, it's no particular keying for this, but I'm just going to end up putting this on. Lines up, no big deal. And then we just throw these guys in. They want these to go in at about 70 foot-pounds each. So I'm just going to, for now, get these guys started and finger tight. Now I'll just blast them in with my DeWalt and then set it up real easily for my my torque wrench to make sure that it doesn't go over, but let's see here. All right, so here, like that. So then what we'll do, just grab this guy, make sure she's going the right direction. We'll get these guys in. Oh, by the way, this is an H10 fitting, just like every other fitting. This is your other trusty number 10 for this for drivetrain stuff. So this is, this thing I think does like 25 foot-pounds, so this is just to kind of get things in, but it's not going to do anything to tighten it. So, all right, guys, so I got this on here. I buzzed it in with my Monster. I guess I showed you I have a little bit of a thread locker on there, but I just banged this in here and tightened her up. She's definitely not going anywhere, but if you have one of these, this definitely does the trick. Just be careful, because if you hold it too long, bye-bye, baby, it's going to snap those bolts. So let's get her in. Put her underneath the car, get her bolted in. Well, that went about as easy as expected. The only thing you really got to look out for is making sure you don't jam your axles up when you're putting it back in. But they're pretty much free swinging on either side of the car. So I got the bolts in. This one goes in from this side. The one on the driver's side has to come in from the front. And then the passenger side can go in from the back very easily. And then these nuts, they just go on very simply at, I think it's 59 foot-pounds is the recommended torque for those. So we'll get them put on, and then maybe we will start moving on to those guys right there and get the lowering springs put on the car. So stay tuned, guys. All right, guys, so I don't know if you can see this, but I spoke too soon. Before we're quote-unquote done, the diff is actually sitting against, and it's hard to get. Let me see if I can get a light in here. So you can see what I did here. I trimmed this bracket. This is the actual bracket where the back, the rear diff mount goes. I hand trimmed that because I didn't want to take the damn thing out because I had it already torqued up and everything. So I did it the hard way, but yeah. Trim this down maybe halfway. You don't have to take the whole thing off, but trim it back enough so that you can get this in, not worry about this interference. Did not know about this one, knew about the other one. Live and learn, I guess. I had to cut a little piece away from the mounting point of the rear of the differential because the actual diff cover was sitting against it. So it was not known that that was a problem. There's like a radius in the back of the LPW style cover. I have a Speedmaster cover, but there is a radius in that cover that had to be taken down, but there was no mention of that. So what I would suggest is that you go on that bracket and cut that piece down about a halfway down. Just grind it back or cut it back to make it easy. I just didn't want to take everything out. But now I'm sitting driver's side again, and let's get under here. We're pulling out the, let me see, get you under here so you can see. So I already got one of them out here, and I got the other one coming over here. There's 4 bolts on either side of the strut assembly, and that whole thing will come out. So it's super easy. So we're going to get the driver and passenger side out, and then we're going to swap the springs over. I got king springs sitting somewhere around here. Pretty sure they're sitting over there on the shelf. We're going to get them swapped over, guys. So let's keep going. All right, so I have the rear, this is the passenger side strut on the makeshift bench here. What I want to do is take this connector out. So I'm going to pull my tab here, and hopefully that will let this thing loose off of here. And I apologize because I'm probably blasted you with there we go. All right, because I really don't want to break this connector if I can avoid it. It looks like it got hung up again. All right, so let's just put that like that, and hopefully get it past the second time. There we go. There we go. All right, so that gets that off of there, and hopefully you can still see it. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room by pulling this out. They give you quite a bit of harness, and it kind of just tucks in there. So what I'm going to end up doing, and I got to get some light in there so we can see it. And I don't know if you guys could see how I have it, but you can see the pins in there. What I'm going to try to do is depin this sucker, but I'm not 100% sure how to do it. So I'm going to take this cover off first. I'm going to kill the camera so I'm not burning battery and wasting everybody's time here, and see if I can get this cover off. And then from there I'll be able to at least see how to get this off, because this won't make it through the top back here, and that's what we're trying to do. All right, so you got to be careful, but you can use a pick like this and get this cover off pretty easily. You just got to take your time. Now it actually gives you a little bit of room here to look and see what you're dealing with. You just got to be careful that you put them in on the right side. So if you're looking here, here's what we want to do. And actually, I'm going to grab my camera real quick, and I'm going to want to take a picture of this, because I want to see that this is the back of it, right? And I want to be able to know that black is on the left side. Okay. There we go. So when I go to put this thing back together, I actually remember how it went back together. All right. So this is a depinning kit that I picked up off of Amazon. It was like 55 bucks, and I was able to get it here today, ordered it yesterday. So more than likely I'm going to struggle a little bit with this, but I'm hoping that I can figure out how to depin this thing and get it out of there. I'm not 100% sure on what the right approach is, but we're going to give it a shot, and hopefully I won't break anything in the process. So I'm going to try with this one first without the camera going, just so I can figure it out, and then I'll let you know exactly which tool worked to get it done. All right, folks, so it's actually a few days have passed between when I attempted to take the wires out, the connector, but I talked to a buddy of mine. He walked me through it. He's a General Motors tech. Turns out that if you got the proper tool, such as a paper clip, or in this case, like what I have there, the depinning tool, let me grab it right here. All you really have to do is bend it a little bit, at the end to get in between, like there's a hole in this one. I mangled a little bit, but I did the driver's side one. You can see it's not on there, right? So there's a couple steps you got to do. You actually have to take the clip off. So it comes with 2 pieces. All right, and I didn't do a good enough job of really walking you through this, but this clips a 90-degreeer around the back side of this guy and clips on real tight. So you see how this, so let me back this up so you can see it, but this slides in here and here, and then this clips on. It's really hard to see doing this. Clips on around it. You gotta, there's 4 clips, one here, one here, one here, and one underneath. Really, all you have to do, and you gotta be, just like, be gentle with this. If you have like a tool, I don't know how close I have, if I'm too close, you just have to get it underneath it and lift it enough, so like twist it and lift it enough, and that's enough for it to be able to slide apart. Once you get this off, then you're left with just the wires hanging out underneath. And it's gonna be hard to see this, but there is that purple clip. You can push that to the side, you know, to the like right side pretty hard. And like, so if you're staring down, it clips up the top like this. On the right-hand side, there is a area that you can slide that in and push it real hard to the left, and you should be able to hook it and bring it out. Or just go in above the respective pins with this at a 90-degree angle. Not a 90-degree, I'm sorry, at like a 45. Get in there, and you'll feel it kind of like stop, and you just got to give it a little bit of leverage. You got to make sure that this is facing down, and then what you do is, and it's hard to kind of see this, but once you get it in, you have to give it a little bit of leverage, and it'll press down on the top of that pin, and you got to give it a little bit of force, but you can pull that pin right out. Comes right out. Now, I screwed it up the first time and mangled it, so I actually broke the pin. So if we go in, and then I tried to dick around with it, and you can see here that hard to see this here, but I actually ended up just breaking the whole thing off, trying to do some stuff to straighten out the thing. So I broke it off. This is what it looks like. Hard to see, hard to get this thing to focus, but this pin has a locking feature on it there. So what does that mean? So what General Motors usually does is they give you one of these guys, and I can't really get this focused. This is, as you can see, a harness that replaces the existing harness there. So what I'm going to end up doing is actually cutting it. I'm going to strip this back a little bit here. Sorry, I got a little extreme close up there. I'm going to strip this back a little bit, strip it off near the top. I'm going to leave it a little longer, and I'm actually going to solder this in place. Heat shrink up at the top above the shock there where it's kind of out of the way of everything. Heat shrink it above it. Then I have everything interfaced properly down at this end. You can see it has the insulation and everything in there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish out the wires, get them out of the way. We're going to pull the shock off, and I'll walk you through what you got to do. I'm sorry, you got to pull the springs off. I'll walk you through all of that, but I'll just do like a time lapse for you for that so you can see it a little better. All right, so let's get this thing stripped apart. There's certain things you got to do to make sure you don't rip the boot or anything, but I'll walk you through each of those things as we do it. So I got it here on the bench here. I'm just getting the spring compressor tool kind of lined up. I'm going to actually hold this at the end here inside my bench vise so I can get a good grip on it, and then I'm going to start just hand tightening these guys up. I would love to be able to get some ugga-duggas on it, but based on the way this is set up, how much length I need, I should probably cut these guys down a little to let me get it in there so I can go from the backside. But I'm going to see how this works for now, and I may change it up later on. But I just need to hold the spring tight. Like, I don't even need to necessarily compress it that much, so I shouldn't have to do too much with it. But let's get it up on the vise and get down to business. Alright guys, so this is not the, cleanest looking shot of this, but it comes apart pretty easily. Once you get everything off the top, you got to pull this off, And these guys are inside of it. You got to slide the, this piece is here, and you can see that there's a washer. It's a thick washer that goes in there. It's a bushing, actually. See, that is what sits, and you can't probably see it from the angle that's here. Let me get this out of the way here. But pull the spring off here. Yoink. Nice and dirty. There we go. Get the spring out of the way. Oh, now you got a good butt shot there. That was good. So this piece is what sits right down on top of this guy. Ooh, man. Ooh, didn't like that. But so shock looks good. It doesn't appear to be leaking or anything. It's very dusty, so I'm going to clean everything off. Got this rubber here. Doesn't seem to be leaking per se, but it is dirty. So I'm going to clean this up, and we're going to just put it back together in reverse order. I got to put a new one of these guys in. So, yeah, let me get it cleaned up. All right, so I'm not sure how well you can see that. This comes with the springs. You actually have to shorten this dust boot 50 millimeters, which for you guys who are not too quick with conversions, that's actually close to 2 inches, 25 millimeters. It's 25.4, but, 25 millimeters is generally assumed to be the normal 1 inch conversion type of number for all intents and purposes. So like in this case, this thing's got to be shortened 50 millimeters. They're just showing a pair of scissors. So I might do it a little bit more precise than that. I got a razor blade. I'll do a cut line and take it around there real nice. But let me get that marked. I'll get it cut, and we'll get this guy back together. Alright guys, so here's one completed shock. Everything's put back together. I added the additional zip tie there, redressed the corrugation so that it tucks in real nice here, snapped it closed, locked it in place, and we are good to go. So very straightforward, very easy to put back together if everything's going well. Now here, you can see I stripped the jacket back a little bit. I used a razor blade and got it in, stripped it back both here. Now what you got to do is you got to make sure you slide the corrugation, the corrugated jacketing on there. Slide that down real well. Then what I'm going to do is slide shrink tubing down over top of this guy. All right, folks, so we're back here. We got one shock done. I'm actually going to have to take a step backwards. You're going to get some bonus footage here. I soldered on a pigtail that was cut off from, like, a previous one. So it didn't look, it was not unlike this one here that broke, but, like, people cut these off. And what I ended up doing was splicing, soldering, and then re-jacketing it. But this made it a little tight going through the pass-through hole, like the offending hole that everybody hates on this thing. Long story short, what I'm going to have to do, well, actually what ended up happening, this is the mating connector, and this connects up to the harness that's coming from the body. That one was fine, and everything went together really nicely. This guy was the one I originally did in mangled. There's like a purple clip, and you can almost see it down there. Well, unfortunately, I mangled the hell out of it, and that led to this pin. This is the brand new, well, brand new, but the one that was cut off, twisted on me. And, because it twisted, I tried to straighten it back out, and it just snapped right off. So, I had to go into kind of holding mode here, but I actually found a harness that is available. I believe it's a Suburban or something like that, but got the part number right here. It is General Motors part number 19332631, and it is really, really darn close to the connector I need. Like these two where it would lock, like so. Sorry, see if I can get this in a way that is meaningful for you guys to see it. So these two here, these will lock. This looks different. This looks much fatter here, but the reality of it is the hole in the center is the right size, so it slips on and you can lock it in place. Spacing between the connectors is the same, and this clip fits over it, and it comes with just two flying leads like this. Now, why I like this is I'm going to end up cutting this down. I'm going to slice the jacket back a little bit further, and I'm going to splice here, and I'm going to splice further up here and offset it a little bit, so that when I solder it, it's not going to be like two areas that are soldered right on top of one another. And I should have done that over here because it would have made for a thinner connection, but that was stupidity on my own part. So I'm going to cut this apart. I'll show you what it looks like once it's back down again, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to get it back together, all right? So the one thing you got to remember to do is I can't solder it on with it being outside here, so it's going to have to be fed through and kind of in the position I need it to be, and then soldered in place here. So let me get it cut down, I'll get it dressed, and then you'll see what I'm doing, all right? So I got this back together so you can see, like this one here, I'm going to wiggle the beige wire, the tan wire. The tan wire goes to the right side, black wire goes to the left side, so we've got that we got that right, not kind of right, we got it right. So you can see what I did, I offset it. So the first solder joint's here, second solder joint's here, and I'm just wrapping it in electrical tape first. And then I got a collar here that I'm going to put, I'll shrink tubing onto it once I get into place where I want it. But like this is here, and it's going to tuck it back in. I got to put the retainer clip up on this side first, and then I can kind of tuck things around. I may just electrical tape this closed, but I'd rather put the shrink tubing over it for now. So let me finish that up, and then I will kind of just do a final overview of that. And then we'll start getting the car back together, because that's, we'll get the back together. I got to stab the axles in, and then we got to start on the front. So this car's not making it for Sunday, but we're making progress. Now I just won't be able to make it out of my own driveway. All right, let's keep trucking. Well, got her done. Got her zip tied back in place. Rerouted this a little bit just to make sure that I had some slack in there. Zip tied it down. I added some heat shrink on the back of it and some additional electrical tape to keep this piece from sliding through. Fits in quite nicely, especially with the clip. Everything's locked in real good. So this guy and the rear shocks are done. So this is, I had to do it the hard way. This was actually a lot easier had I just taken my time and did it correctly the first time. The easy way to do it is to shove the pin in, and what I'm going to try to do is I'll show you it. Let me just do this. I'll set you up right here, and we'll see if we can somehow fake. Oh, give me a second here to get it so that I can hold this thing. So what I'm going to do is thread this guy back in the one good clip so I can show you what's happening here. All right, so I put this one back in. This is the bad clip. I wanted to show you guys how to do this. So you'll see there's like a high clip. When you have this, the purple connector has to be that purple clip. Normally people tell you to keep it, take it out. I've got this tool. You get a real cheap toolkit. You can get it off of off of Amazon. So what you want to do is go into that purple piece above it. There's a hole above it. You want to go through. So you want this facing, when it's going in, you want to kind of go at it like this. And then rock this guy. So you got to make sure that you have it like you rock this guy like this and kind of pull back a little while you're pulling this. And then watch what's going to happen. All right, so let me find it first. You guys can barely see it there. So I'm inside it now. You can see how I'm pointing down like this. So now I'm lifting up a bit and pull. You see that? You see how freaking easy that is? Like, that was it. That was literally it. I messed around with that stupid purple clip in here for probably an hour total before I completely mangled it. So don't do what I did and destroy that thing. Get yourself cheap kit, and I got it laying around here somewhere. I got to find it. Oh, it's this guy right here. So I've got this kit right here that, oh, that's not, oh, it's right there. Okay, it's the black kit right there. Got it off of Amazon. I'll find the link, I'll put it in there. This is really the only tool you're going to use in there. I think it was like 50 bucks. That's all you have to do. You just have to get something that has enough leverage in there so that you can bend it down, and that's it. And the damn clip comes right out. Had I not done that, I would have had this thing depinned. Sorry, I dropped this down here. I would have had this thing depinned in the whole thing done in like probably 20 minutes. But broke the clip, tried it again, broke it a second time. So, hey, I am not without fault, and I'll make sure I tell you guys that. At least hopefully you will learn from my experience. So, let's get this back together, and then we'll start on the front, all right? So I may do a time lapse or something like that, but I'll show you on at least one side how to get her back together, get the axle stabbed in and everything. All right, so thanks for hanging with me, guys. We're just going to keep chugging along. And that is that, folks. So you can see strut is in and connected up, the electrical connection to the actual Magna ride, as well as the ride height sensor in the back, the little connection at the bottom you disconnect so that you don't snap the damn thing. But brakes are back on. I really got to redo my Brembos, looking a little rough, but it is what it is. The only thing I got left is just this end link that I have to tighten up, and I want to do that with the car under some weight, so I'll end up putting a jack stand underneath the studs here just to hold some weight. But overall, really not particularly difficult getting it back together. The only thing I'd say, just a caution, is when you're taking it apart, make sure you pay attention to how the bolts come out. So you can put a bolt in from one side, you can put it in from the other. However, the combination of bolts, when you put them together, you may not be able to access one of them. So I made sure I took care to watch that. But overall, she's back together on this side. I'll do the other side. And then we'll have part 3, which will handle the front of the car, and I'll do the front suspension. And then I'll do like a pseudo part 4, like a mini part 4 of getting the carbon fiber drive shaft in. But guys, thanks for sticking along with me. I realize there's a lot going on here, but I want to make sure I try to detail it the best I can. Appreciate you watching. Tomorrow's the Holden Showdown. As you might expect, I'm not racing in it, but there's going to be a lot of great cars there. Weather's looking beautiful. I'll, of course, have an update for that. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.